Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Driver's Debrief. We're coming at you from Arizona. We are on the road. We finished up Hot Rod Power Tour West. You'll remember in episode 6 that's here on X. We were streaming from the hotel. This is episode 7. We finished Hot Rod Power Tour. We were at Barrett-Jackson Scottsdale yesterday and today, with the intent to go home Tuesday. So next week's episode will be from our little home studio that you're used to seeing. Right now we're at the Airbnb. But welcome to episode 7 of the Driver's Debrief. We have a lot to talk about. We have some breaking news too. We have some breaking news for those of y'all that are in the NASCAR realm, that are NASCAR fans. But we're going to get to that here shortly. Before we do, make sure if you're a fan of the podcast or you want to stay up to date in the future with what we're doing, make sure to follow on X at the Drivers Debrief. Make sure to follow on YouTube at Drivers Debrief and on Rumble at Drivers Debrief. If you're watching this live, welcome. We're going to be uploading these to YouTube and Rumble after we're done the recordings. I've been talking a lot today. It's just going to be a nightmare. So we're going to be stumbling and tripping and fumbling. But here we are. So please follow there, subscribe, and like the video. Moving into the agenda, we got Conversation Corner. We got our racing that we're going to cover. So we have some Xfinity at the Roval, NASCAR Cup Series at the Roval, Petit Le Mans at IMSA, Texas Motorplex, NHRA, and the Bathurst 1000 in V8 Supercars. Moving into Conversation Corner, let's start with some V8 Supercars news. Brody Kostecki takes the Bathurst 1000 pole, making it 2 in a row, and he becomes the 6th driver in the history of the Bathurst 1000 to take 2 poles in a row. With Erebus Racing too is where he's got it done. V8 Supercars moving forward is moving to a new format for their season. And I don't think it's necessarily good news. So the V8 Supercars is moving towards a NASCAR-style playoff structure, but I actually think that V8 Supercars is doing this better than NASCAR has. So this is from the V8 Supercars X account. So they're going to have rounds 1 through 8 be a sprint cup. So in February, they're doing the Sydney 500 as the opening round, then Melbourne, then the ITM Taupo Super 440, then the Tasmania Super 440, the Perth Super 440, the Darwin Triple Crown in June for round 6, NTI Townsville 500 in July, and then Ipswich Super 400 in August. And those are the sprint races, the Sprint Cup. Then there's going to be an Enduro Cup. That is rounds 9 and 10. That's the Bend Enduro and the Repco, obviously Bathurst 1000 in September and October. And then rounds 11 through 13 are going to be the finals. So that's going to be the Boost Mobile Gold Coast 500, the Penrite Oil Sandown 500, and the Adelaide Grand Final. So rather than doing a normal kind of season of racing that leads to some sort of point superstructure at the end of the season that then leads into kind of a clean slate, so to speak, when it comes to the playoffs and the rounds, like in NASCAR. They have a Sprint Cup, an Endurance Cup, and then the overall championship that kind of are thirds of the season, although they're not divided equally when it comes to the rounds in each bracket. There are at least those 3 separate buckets that the V8 Supercar season will contain. So that's exciting. I think that's a cool new way to shake up a series that is not stale by any stretch, but it's a series that's trying to reach out and get into new markets, and that's something we're actually going to have some gripes with. There's going to be a rant later. This is a very V8 Supercar heavy episode. Moving into some Formula One news, Toyota and Haas announced a technical partnership effective immediately, which I guess we should have seen coming. Haas has the Toyota brand colors, the black, white, red, so maybe it was in front of us the whole time. But yeah, that's effective immediately, so that's going to be, it's already branded on the car, Toyota Gazoo Racing on the rear wing. I'm going to be honest, I think Toyota makes a play to buy Haas in the next 2 years because we already know Gene Haas has kind of been at wit's end when it comes to funding the Formula One team with minimal results. So who knows? Maybe we see Toyota buy that team out. FIA is pushing back against, apparently there's a drive to move the F1 calendar to a 25 race season, and the FIA is saying that they can't handle it, but I'm not aware of a single person that actually wants more races on the calendar. So they claim that they can't handle it as a matter of logistics, but again, who said the teams could, right? The teams and the drivers have been saying the 21 race calendar is already more that they can really handle, let alone a 25 race calendar. But I think what's kind of prompted this is we got a lot of other countries, but also racetracks around the world trying to make their way back into Formula One. So South Korea apparently has made their intentions clear that they intend or want to host an F1 race in 2026 onwards, and they proposed another street circuit. Another street circuit. Not to mention, for those of you that aren't Drive to Survive fans, for those of you who have liked the sport for more than 10 minutes like myself, South Korea had a racetrack, and it was actually awesome. The track layout itself was cool. Granted, it never really took off. After 2 or 3 years, they left, never went back. But that South Korean circuit still stands. It's still there. I'm sure it could use some refurbishment. To my knowledge, it hasn't been run on by other series. But, guys, we're really okay. I think we have enough street circuits, and this is what IndyCar is doing as well. We'll talk about that. But we already have Singapore, Monaco, Miami, Vegas, what else? Azerbaijan. There's plenty of street circuits already on the F1 calendar. And if we're going to already stretch the FIA and the F1 team's resources to make more races happen on the calendar, let's just go to real tracks. Like Germany and Turkey. So apparently Hockenheim and the Nürburgring are both trying to make bids to join the Formula One calendar again. Germany is a weird one because for a period, it was the European Grand Prix, and it would alternate between the Nürburgring and Hockenheim. It used to just be the German Grand Prix at the Nürburgring, and then it used to be Hockenheim even before then on the Hockenheim full circuit, and then it just kind of disappeared from the calendar. And honestly, Hockenheim ruined Sebastian Vettel's chances of a championship with Ferrari, and then said, I'm a head out. So apparently they're trying to get back onto the calendar, but so is Turkey. Obviously, we had Istanbul on the calendar during COVID when other circuits weren't open, and we had those beautiful, beautiful white Red Bulls, and Sergio Perez became the Mexican Minister of Defense. So I would be all over Germany and Turkey coming back, and South Korea. But we got to cut some of this other crap. Cut Vegas, cut Miami, cut Azerbaijan, and give me Hockenheim, Nürburgring, and South Korea every day of the week. No questions asked. Moving on to some sports car racing. Okay, so for those of y'all that played like GT Legends or Project Gotham, those old computer racing games, I say old, okay, not old. I know the millennials out there are having an aneurysm that I just said old, referring to games from the early 2000s. But in this day and age, I guess that is considered the classics. That's where I heard of this brand, but Seat is is competing in IMSA. They're returning to racing in North America. The Seat Leon Cupra TCR, first of all, looks smoking, but it's joining IMSA for the 2025 Michelin Pilot Challenge season onward, which is super cool because Pilot Challenge in the TCR class is Honda and Hyundai, and then you have one Alfa Romeo, you have a couple Audi S3s, and that's it. So a little bit more diversity. I'm honestly surprised we don't have more hot hatches. VW had the Golf that competed for a few years a while back. Unless I'm nuts, I don't remember seeing any of those run recently. They used to be in the Liqui Moly colors, but I have not seen any of those recently. Heart of Racing is removing their GTD Pro entry, the Aston Martin Vantage, and they're focusing their attention on the Hypercar Valkyrie effort alongside their regular GTD entry. So for those of y'all who may not watch IMSA, first of all, you should. But GTD Pro are GT3 cars with an all-pro lineup. GTD is the same exact car with a mix of pro and AM drivers. So they're getting rid of their all-pro lineup and moving them to the Valkyrie, and they're keeping their pro AM lineup. Iron Dames is competing in the Asian Le Mans Series in the 2024 and 2025 season in the Porsche 911 GT3R. They announced this on social media. Michelle Gadding, Sarah Bovey, all of them announced it. But I haven't seen anything in terms of clarification as to that, meaning that they're doing it at the expense of a WEC program or at the expense of an IMSA program. I certainly hope not, because obviously in WEC they've They've had the pace to be on pole. They've been fast, and repeated mistakes in the race lead them to not being, top 5 or on the podium or winning. So I'd be eager to see them continue to focus in the top classes of sports car racing internationally before moving to Asian Le Mans Series, but we'll see. Sydney is awarded the honors for hosting the 2025 International Race of Champions. It's coming back. We may see a rematch we won't see a rematch, but we may see something similar to Carl Edwards versus Michael Schumacher. Spoiler alert, Carl Edwards won that. If you don't believe me, look it up. And then Chloe Chambers and Nerea Marti will test with Andretti in a female-only Formula E test. You might know Chloe Chambers as she is a Haas Formula Academy driver and an American. So she's going to be testing with Andretti. Okay, so that's our conversation corner for this week. Feel free to contribute to that conversation in the comment section on these videos, or absolutely in Twitter. You can reply to this tweet, to this video, to this live stream. Let me know what you think about some of these conversation topics, where you think some of these things are going, whether it's Haas and Toyota or otherwise. So let's just jump into the elephant in the room. Let's jump into Petit Le Mans, IMSA, the season finale, and it was a great race. It was really hectic. So let's just go into who had the pole. So the Action Express number 31 Whelen Cadillac was on pole for GTP. We had the United Autosports number 52 Orica with Ben Keating on pole in LMP2. Rexy was on pole, breaking the lap record for GT3 with Lauren Heinrich behind the wheel, and Scott Andrews in the Lone Star Racing Mercedes was on pole in GTD. Moving into the results, I think we're going to do just the top 10 from each category, I know. So let's start with GTD. So in GTD, in 10th, the number 96 Turner Motorsports car. In 9th, the number 57 Winward Racing car. In 8th, the number 70 Inception Racing Ferrari. In 7th, the 21 AF Corsa Ferrari. In 6th, the number 45 WTR with Andretti Lamborghini. In 5th, the number 23 Triarci Ferrari. In 4th, the Korthoff Preston Motorsports Mercedes. In 3rd, we had the number 12 Vassar Sullivan car. And then we had 2 GTD cars on the lead lap. The number 78 Forte Racing Lamborghini and the number 34 Conquest Racing Ferrari, winning their class by only 7/10 of a second. So congratulations to them. Moving on to GTD Pro, we only had 5 cars on the lead lap in this class. In 10th, the 82 Dragon Speed Ferrari. In 9th, the number 9 FAV Motorsports McLaren. In 8th, the 64 Ford Multimatic Motorsports Mustang. In 7th, the number 1 Paul Miller Racing BMW. In 6th, the number 65 Ford Multimatic Motorsports car, and they were all several laps down. In 5th, the number 3 Corvette Racing Pratt Miller car. In 4th, the number 27 Heart of Racing car. In 3rd, the number 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin. In 2nd, the 62 Risi Competizione Ferrari. And in 19th, claiming their first ever IMSA win, the number 19 Iron Lynx car. Moving into LMP2, 10th, United Autosports, number 2 car. 9th, the number 22 United Autosports car, both DNFing. In 8th, the MDK by High Class, number 20. In 7th was Spike, the 99 AO Racing Dragon. In 6th, the 88 Richard Mille AF Corsa car. 5 cars on the lead lap in this class as well. In 5th is the number 8 Tower Motorsports car. In 4th is Inter Europol. In 3rd is Aaron Motorsports, Connor Zillich bringing home more hardware. In 2nd, the number 74 Riley car. And in 1st place, the number 11 TDS Racing car. Moving into GTP. Number 25 BMW car in 10th with a DNF. In 9th was the number 10 Wayne Taylor with Andretti car with no luck this season. A scary accident on the famous Road Atlanta circuit. In 8th is the number 63 Lamborghini Iron Lynx car. In 7th, the number 40 WTR car. In 6th, the number 5 Proton Porsche. In 5th, the 31 Whelen Cadillac. In 4th, the 24 BMW RLL car. In 3rd, the number 7 Porsche Penske car. In 2nd, the number 6 Porsche Penske car. And in 1st place, the pink caddy of Chip Ganassi Racing with Ringer Van de Zanda, Sebastian Bourdais, and Scott Dixon. So that means we have some champions to talk about. In LMP2, we have the Inter-Europol entry claiming their LMP2 championship. In GTD, we had Windward Racing cruising to their victory in their class overall. Rexy wins GTD Pro Championship, and the number 7 Penske Porsche 963 finally claims the championship. I say finally, it's only been 2 seasons with these cars, but Porsche, everybody expected Porsche and Penske to come out of the gates being the favorites, and they struggled the first year. This year, they've been faster. They win the championship. It's the 45th championship for Penske across the board in motorsports, the 9th IMSA championship for him. But there's more coming because they're right now in the lead of the WEC championship standings with 1 race to go. So, Manthey claims the GT3 LMGT3 Pro category championship in WEC. Could win the Hypercar championship in WEC. So that's 1 out of 2 in WEC. In IMSA, they claim GTD Pro and GTP championships. They could, all but GTD, sweep the entire global sports car championship across the 911 and the 963, which is badass, man. I'm so excited. So we got some talking points. Ticket sales were up by 8.5% on Friday and up over 10% on Sunday, making Petit Le Mans the highest attended Petit Le Mans race ever in its 27-year history, with over 130,000 spectators, which, for context, Formula One at Circuit of the Americas at the height of Drive to Survive fandom was about 440,000 people over a weekend. So IMSA is garnering about 25 to 30% of the fans that F1 did, which you may say, that's nothing. But guys, we're talking about an IMSA that is used to having 60, 70,000 people over a weekend. And Petit Le Mans isn't even the crown jewel in the IMSA calendar. The Rolex 24 is. So for the fact that Petit Le Mans, in its relatively short history, is getting these numbers is significant. Other talking points. Pipo Derani leaves Action Express. The little Brazilian terrorist is finally gone. I'm saying that as a Wayne Taylor and Penske Porsche fan. Penske Porsche more, though. Wayne Taylor was cool with Cadillac. Chip Ganassi, speaking of Cadillac, has split with Cadillac. They are moving to Acuras, I believe. They're buying the Acuras from Wayne Taylor. But finally, they had success with the number 1 car, and the pink caddy did them proud. Regardless of the headlight issues, you should go watch the last couple laps of the race. Wayne Taylor's last race with Acura before returning to Cadillac. And we really didn't have any of the dominance that we were used to in IMSA. With Wayne Taylor Racing this year, this era kind of, this whole GTP Acura era has not done well for Wayne Taylor. So they're returning to Cadillac, which, again, for those of y'all that have watched IMSA for more than 10 minutes, is a scary prospect. Just saying. Richard Westbrook, Westy, he's retiring after 30 years of international racing success. He's hung his helmet up for the last time. A guy that would drive the wheels off anything and was one of the most humble, down-to-earth competitors in the entire paddock. So Westbrook will be missed. Just an incredible talent. Obviously, he's had better years, but really enjoyed the fact that he was still driving well into his 50s. This was Brian Sellers' last race with Paul Miller Racing and BMW. As we mentioned in episode 5 or 6, he's moving into a managerial role with DXDT Racing, the Corvette team, who's actually moving into IMSA GTD championship contention. So Brian Sellers will still be in the IMSA paddock, but with a different team and in a different role. And this was the final race for the Acura NSX GT3 platform with little to no success on the North American side. All right. Let's move into... This is going to be a long episode, guys. I feel like I'm talking fast, but we are mowing through this. Also, on the live stream, if we're dropping frames, I apologize. I see that we're dropping some frames, but unfortunately, I'm stuck with the mobile phone hotspot. The Wi-Fi at this Airbnb isn't working, so I do apologize. But let's move into Bathurst. It was the fastest Bathurst 1000 ever, with one safety car, to the point where they were making memes about If you've seen this car, call in. Let us know. Responds to yellow flags and VSC warnings for their Porsche Taycan safety car because it was seen so little. Brody Kostecki won the race with his co-driver with Erebus. So Chevy Camaro's winning Bathurst makes me a happy boy. But it makes you wonder, what would have happened if SVG was still in the field? Because if you'll remember, obviously the Aussies that listen, yes, you do exist, so thank you. But the Aussies will know that watch V8 Supercars. Kostecki and SVG were the two drivers at the top of their game, fighting nonstop at the closest battles, held each other accountable. And Kostecki didn't run away with this race, but it certainly wasn't as tightly contested as it would have been with SVG. So this is where I'm going to ask you. Comment below. Do you think if SVG was in the field in a Camaro with his top team, would Kostecki have had the ease of walking away that he did? Relatively boring race outside of a single safety car. No, I don't think safety cars make for entertaining racing. However, the field got pretty stretched out. And so it led to, obviously, not a lot of fighting for position, but there was a lot of lap traffic. But we got to talk about Bathurst broadcasting because I wanted to watch this race. I wanted to watch it. Let's see, that would have been yesterday. But unfortunately, you have to pay $10 a month to stream V8 Supercars, which, humbly, I would say, if V8 Supercars wants to expand their audience, they should probably allow viewership outside of Australia for free to get people into it. And then once they see growth, then go ahead and charge for it. But I can watch the entire IMSA season for $5 a month with Peacock or $6 a month after recent price hikes. And that's a North American series and has a much larger international footprint. So I'm confused as to why they think that people internationally are going to pay $10 to watch a V8 Supercar season. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would. But when you're paying for all these other streaming services to watch racing as it is, I proportion it to IMSA. I don't understand why they would have more cost when it comes to their streaming services. But Mark Winterbottom has vowed when he comes back next year to Bathurst, he is showing up with one goal and one goal only, and that's to win. So hopefully for Winterbottom fans, that can happen. Hopefully that's something that'll come to fruition. Moving into NHRA, Texas Motorplex, my former job. Texas Motorplex is complete, and it has wrapped up. So in Funny Car, Matt Hagan, back-to-back fall nationals at Texas Motorplex in the Funny Car class, taking home the Wally. Jeg Coughlin Jr. in Pro Stock and Gage Herrera in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Pro Stock Motorcycle won all their respective classes. Justin Ashley winning in Top Fuel after holding off Clay Milliken. Winning in Dallas for the third time in 4 years. So more NHRA news to come. But Justin Ashley moves into the top of the points for Top Fuel. So we will be covering that as the season progresses. Racing season is coming to a close, guys. We're getting down to the wire. Let's talk about NASCAR, you filthy animals. So we got NASCAR at the Roval. And once again, the talking point that me and everybody on X is walking away from this race with is officiating. NASCAR officiating blows. F1 fans, you thought Abu Dhabi 2021 was an absolute cluster. I present to you NASCAR 2024. Guys, we thought damaged vehicle policy was bad enough. Now they can't even figure out when to throw a yellow flag. Okay? Car wrecks, they can't back out or they're stuck. Yellow. Done. Easy enough. No, not that easy. So, NASCAR in Xfinity had an exciting race. It was a good race. And let's go through the top 10, but then we're going to have to kind of explain how it all happened. So, on pole in Xfinity, on pole in Cup Series is Shane Van Gisselbacher, as Clutch Dump fans will remember. And let's just say he didn't convert either to a win. So in 10th place, Sammy Smith. 9th, Eric Almirola. 8th, Josh Balicki. 7th, Justin Allgaier. 6th, Parker Kligerman. We're going to get to him in a minute. 5th, Chandler Smith. 4th, Austin Hill. Shart turd. Third, Shane Van Gisbergen. Second is the Dinger. And in first place, Sam Meyer advancing into the next round of the playoffs. And unfortunately, in Xfinity, Shane Van Gisbergen has been eliminated. But NASCAR officiating needs some work. So Parker Kligerman in the lead comes around to take the white flag. The white flag is waving. And when he's about 3 feet from the start-finish line, the yellow flag is triggered on the boards. But Kligerman passes. Kligerman crosses the checkered flag, or the start-finish with the white flag out, which normally means the race is over no matter what. They finish the lap. It doesn't matter if an F18 or an F22 missiles the track. The race is going to finish how it finishes. And this was after the 42 car was buried under the tire wall for an entire, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, not 10, not 11, not 12, not 13, not 14, 15 seconds prior to when they actually threw the yellow. NASCAR says, well, we couldn't see it. We couldn't really figure out if it was a situation that was going to warrant some caution flags. But if you look at the video, if you look at the photos, the car is buried under the tire wall. It is not at all hard to figure out whether or not this car was going to need to be towed out. And they decided to throw the yellow and said that Parker Kligerman received the white but did not take the white flag. What that means, I have no idea. But long story short, Parker Kligerman was robbed from his first Xfinity Series race. And he's been on it all year. No fourth gear at the Glen brought home a top 10. Might have been a top 5 with only 3 gears. He has been constantly in the running at these races, time after time after time, and just needs luck to fall his way once. And even then, he can't get it. So he did not win the race. The fan base is in an uproar. Everybody thinks Kligerman should have won, rather. But this brings us to another issue, which is, what is NASCAR's problem? Okay? What's NASCAR's issue? A lot of people think it's officiating. But I got a better idea. And I said this, if you're watching this for the first time, if you're new to the driver's debrief, thank you so much. But go watch episode 6, because we have a very healthy, hearty, long NASCAR rant. But this ties in. The problem with NASCAR are the rules, not the officiating. The officiating can only be as good as the rule set. No, I'm not talking about car regulations. I'm talking about the rules of the race. When the flag comes out, is there overtimes? How many overtimes are there? The timing of cautions, all that. Just scrap that and go back to common sense. Shit, a car's on the wall? Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to back out. All right, yellow flag. I saw a great tweet. A great X post, rather. Follow on, that's awkward, on X at the Driver's Debrief. It's our only social media platform. That Dale Earnhardt would have never won his 98 Daytona 500 if the current rules existed. And this is something we've talked about, right? One of the greatest moments in racing, sports car, NASCAR, doesn't matter. One of the greatest moments in the history of racing, let alone sport. I mean, we're talking up there with Jordan and Brady winning their championships. Dale Earnhardt winning the Daytona 500 is one of the most significant and impactful moments in the history of sports. And it would have been stolen from us and taken away if these, excuse my French, bullshit rules that we are stuck with were in place. It doesn't have to do with the cars. It doesn't have to do with the officiating. If the yellow was thrown after the race ended or 10 laps, I don't give a shit when the yellow was thrown. If there was no overtime, Kligerman would have won that race. The problem wasn't when the yellow was thrown. The problem is the fact that overtime exists. If the yellow was thrown when Kligerman didn't even cross the the start finish. So if the yellow was thrown when it was thrown, he still would have won the race if overtime didn't exist. You're leading the race onto the last lap under yellow. How do you not win? How does that not translate to a win of the race? NASCAR is the only series in the world that has any level of respect, V8 Supercars, IMSA, WEC, F1, MotoGP, none of those series have overtime. Now they're going through between VSE, safety car, the wave by procedures. Okay, and those are kind of more minor things. Those are efficient. How efficiently can we have a caution? But the caution is still being thrown. The caution is still eating up time on the clock. That would be this is like in an IMSA race, in a timed race, 24 hours at Daytona. Oh my God, they're coming around through the tri-oval for the white flag last lap. There's not enough time on the clock. It's Penske versus Wayne Taylor. Oh my God, the Dragon Speed LMP3 car wrecked. The proctologist put it in the wall. We're adding like stoppage time like in soccer. We're going to add 5 minutes because that's how long it took to get the car back to the pits. What? No, it's a joke. It's a joke. NASCAR, I hope something good comes out of these lawsuits. Something needs to change when it comes to the rules. It doesn't have to do with officiating. It doesn't have to do with drivers or cars. It has to do with the written code. And go back a minute. That's the problem with the damaged vehicle policy. Why have a limit on getting the car fixed? Oh, I know that's not all of damaged vehicle, but that's part of it. You have 6 minutes, and you can do it in the pit. But then if you go back out after 2 minutes, it resets the clock, and then you get another 6 minutes. And then if you can maintain minimum speed, I got an idea. How about if you can get the car moving in the right direction, you're still in the race. We have glorified photos from Le Mans in the 70s of drivers in the back of their 917 with the rear clamshell up, wrenching around on the car, trying to get stuff fixed, fixing wishbones, all this sort of stuff that maybe took 20 or 30 minutes. But if you're in a 5-hour NASCAR race with a dozen overtimes, why wouldn't you want to still be in the race? Who knows what happens? Anyway, I'm very fed up with NASCAR. Long story short, breaking news. Kyle Larson wins the Roval and Cup Series. And breaking as of just before me starting this episode, Alex Bowman has been disqualified for failing to meet minimum weight. So Joey Logano is in the playoffs after having just 2 hours ago been eliminated. Alex Bowman is eliminated from the playoffs, being the only Hendrick Motorsports car that did not make it. Logano being the only Penske car that made it into the playoffs. So big news there. And realistically, listen, the talking points for the NASCAR Cup Series are the same as the Xfinity Series. We have a plethora of regulations that need to be completely overhauled, not necessarily for the cars. Again, I'm going to die on the hill. The next-gen car is not the end of the world. Every car had its flaws. Every car had its strengths, and we're just going to have to get through this. Let me have my moment. Third and fourth gen NASCARs weren't good at road courses. But now these are, so let me enjoy this, please. That being said, put a third and fourth gen car on the track, and the sliding and everything is awesome. I love it. But let's enjoy the international attention on NASCAR from the next gen car just for a little bit, guys, just to make them fans. And then we can go back to the 900 horsepower tube frame cars like the Xfinities, please. Okay? Thank you. All right. That was a lot. I was talking really quickly. Again, I'm sorry for anybody watching this live here on X or watching the playback. I really apologize if the frames dropped horribly. If anybody comments, let me know in the comments on X. If I need to re-upload the recording of this, that'll be perfect and without any issues, I can. But yeah, you can follow me on X, on YouTube, and on Rumble at Drivers Debrief on all those platforms. A lot of this news that I ran through, I retweeted in live time. So if you want to stay up to date on all of the racing across the globe, make sure to follow me on X at Drivers Debrief. It's the only social media platform that we have for the podcast. Follow on YouTube, follow on Rumble, like the video, and share. This has been episode 7 of the Drivers Debrief on the road. We'll see you next time.